Hi, I'm Charles with Anime Recap. Today I'm going to explain the psychological thriller called King of Thorn. Spoilers ahead. The film begins by showing a girl falling from the sky and landing in the middle of a busy city street. Surprisingly though, after hitting the ground, the body appears to actually have been made of stone. It is then explained that an infectious disease of the highest level called Medusa is the reason behind people turning into stone, and a cure has not yet been found. We are told that the process has 3 phases: a 30 to 60 day infection to onset phase, then 12 hours until petrification, and then fatality. On television, Mr. Vega, CEO of the major chemical manufacturer Venusgate, has a press conference. He says that his corporation will fulfill its duty to society and unveil a top secret project they have been working on called cold sleep. Mr. Vega states that patients under cold sleep will have a slower metabolic rate, which will slow the progress of illness, including Medusa. The plan will be to have infected people cold sleep until a cure is found. A lottery will be held to decide the 160 infected people that will be allowed to participate in the project. Elsewhere, the U.S. National Security Agency meets to discuss the probability of the disease Medusa being an act of bioterrorism perpetrated by Venusgate. They question why such a large chemical manufacturer has not had any recent advances. They also bring into question the mental stability of the CEO, Mr. Vega, since he has been heard saying things such as, "I've been chosen," and "I found the path to God." Believing there will be another terrorist attack, they decide to go on the offensive, calling the operation Sleeping Beauty. Later, 3 buses are shown taking participants to a large castle that will serve as the experiment's facility. Here we are introduced to the twin sisters Kasumi and Shizuku. Along with them are a young boy, a prisoner, and several other random people. Upon arrival, participants are given a bracelet with their ID code engraved. They will need these in order to go further into the facility. As a selectee, Kasumi is given a bracelet and sent off to orientation, but her sister Shizuku must remain behind since she is merely a companion. During orientation, Mr. Vega reveals his cutting-edge, centralized management control system called Alice. Alice, which will be able to run for 100 years, will be controlling and monitoring everything in the facility, including the cold sleep capsules. The system is also in charge of protecting everyone wearing one of the bracelets that were handed out earlier. When asked by a reporter if people can dream while in cold sleep, Mr. Vega says they can, and that Alice will also be able to control their dreams. Finally, Mr. Vega tells the participants that the bracelets also have an indicator that will turn from white to black if their Medusa infection enters its second stage. Outside the castle, the twin sisters discuss their past. Kasumi is bothered by the fact that the sisters will have to part ways even after making a promise to always stick together after both their parents died from the Medusa disease. Shizuku calms her sister by telling her that even though she is also infected, her death is not guaranteed. The 2 lock pinky fingers and make a new promise to meet again after Kasumi's time in cold sleep is over. After having all belongings taken from them, the participants are escorted to their sleeping capsules. After a short countdown inside the capsule, Kasumi is put to sleep. Next, we see that Kasumi has awakened and her capsule has been opened, revealing that the room has been overrun by vines. As all the other pods open, the participants begin to question why and believe that perhaps a cure has been found. Kasumi falls from her capsule after being surprised by a monstrous bird-like creature. When the participants look to the ceiling, they see that there are actually several of these monsters. The participants run to an elevator in an attempt to flee from the ravenous birds, only to find there is another, much larger monster waiting for them. The last remaining participants manage to fight off the monsters but have lost many members. The last 7 survivors manage to find a safe room where they can gather their thoughts. They question why Alice has done nothing to protect them and believe that the world has ended. One of the participants reminds everyone that monsters are not their only concern, as they are all still infected and it will only be a matter of time before the Medusa virus takes their lives. After a heated discussion, the group decides that it is not smart to stay put and best to move up and out of the castle. As the group makes their way through the castle, they are met with a new foe. A large lizard-like monster sneaks up on one of the participants, lifting him off the ground and biting his head off. The boy in the group recognizes the monster from one of his games and reveals that it cannot see but relies on its hearing to detect its surroundings. The group jumps into flowing water in order to escape the monster but lose sight of Kasumi. Kasumi is shown to be having a vision when she is awakened by her sister's voice telling her to live. The prisoner then pulls her out of the water to safety. Their safety is short-lived, however, as they realize that there are actually several of these lizard monsters. The group again must run for their lives. After a short chase, Kasumi manages to distract the monsters using loud noises, and the others use their guns to kill them. Later, they are able to find a safe office where they treat their wounds and refill their ammunition. Tensions rise, however, as the group begins to question one of the participants for having a piece of jewelry when everyone else had to give up all their possessions. They also question how he knew the way to the office they were currently in. As the man's attempts to lie fail, he begins to panic and takes Kasumi as a hostage. The man claims to have a noble duty to fulfill and leaves with his hostage. As the group attempts to follow Kasumi and her captor, they encounter another horde of lizard monsters. They manage to kill the monsters but are separated in the process. In a flashback, we are shown the twin sisters at a younger age. We are shown that Shizuku was recovering from a leg injury that would leave a permanent scar. The flashback also shows the traumatic moment when they discover that they both have contracted the same disease that killed their parents. After waking from her dream, Kasumi wanders through a room when she begins to hear a discussion in the distance. She approaches and learns that the man was only pretending to be a participant and is actually a developer at the facility. His goal had been to expose the truth behind the Venus Gate Corporation. As the two discuss the consequences of his actions, they are attacked by a lizard monster, and the developer is killed. Just then, the prisoner shows up and is able to fend off the lizard, allowing them to escape the room. However, this only leads to another chase, with it ending at a dead end. Just as the pair are about to meet their demise, they are saved by the other half of their group. The group finds themselves in yet another room with no way out. In here, the prisoner reveals that he is actually a lieutenant with a mission of finding proof that Medusa was an act of bioterrorism perpetrated by the Venus Gate Corporation. In the middle of their conversation, someone comes crashing through the door. This person is shown to be Mr. Vega, the CEO of Venus Gate. Mr. Vega reveals that he had been conducting an experiment that turns dreams into reality, but his test subject has gone out of control. As water begins to pour into the room, Mr. Vega shows them a hidden passage. On their way through the hidden passage, Mr. Vega explains the origins of the Medusa virus. He says that it came crashing down from space in a village where everyone had died except for one little girl. They thought that the virus had killed everyone, but concluded that it may have been something else. While investigating the village, they found a bizarre creature that had been doing the killing. They were able to find that the creature was born from the dreams of the little girl, and the catalyst was the Medusa virus. The infected girl was able to conquer the virus by producing what they called an alternative. The Medusa is actually able to seek out those with advanced mental activity and is able to stimulate their evolution. He then reveals that his first test subject had been the girl from the village named Alice, and that she had died during the experiments. He tells them that his mission now had been to gather the most promising test subjects at the Cold Sleep Center, in the hopes of finding his next test subject. He explains that his mission was a success. His newest and most perfect test subject was brought to the lab a couple days after the capsules had closed, but concedes that it was actually dumb luck since she wasn't even amongst one of the participants that he had invited. He remarks that she had been releasing massive amounts of energy after something triggered her mind to go out of control. Seeing as how Alice was the only thing keeping the subject under control, the power outage gave her enough time to break free. Finally, he reveals that the alternatives that his test subject produce are immune to Medusa and have permanent lifespans. The group must run away again as the building begins to collapse, following the young boy as he seemingly knows the way out. It is then revealed that Alice had brainwashed the boy in order to protect their lives. In their attempt to escape, they dive into the rising water in the hopes that it will take them out of the top of the castle. However, Kasumi is knocked unconscious and begins to dream again. This time, she dreams of the time that she cut her wrist in an attempt to kill herself while being stopped by her sister Shizuku. Her reason was so that her sister could take her place in the sleeping capsule and have a better chance at surviving their disease. The sisters agree that she should not have done this and that there was still the possibility of a miracle that could save them both. She wakes as the lieutenant saves her from the drowning once again. Outside, Kasumi finds a video camera on the ground and the recording shows Shizuku on the ground writhing in pain. This sends Kasumi into a frantic sprint to get to her sister at the top of the castle. The three others in the group use a helicopter to attempt to help Kasumi but are stopped by the giant thorn monster that covers the castle. After being knocked out of the helicopter, the lieutenant finds Kasumi and the two head to the top of the castle. The others in the group manage to survive the fall as well, but the woman falls victim to the Medusa virus and is turned to stone. In the castle, the lieutenant is met by a girl that he recognizes as his sister that had committed suicide years ago. This girl explains that she is actually Alice, and that after the newest test subject had lost control, Alice had to take measures to stabilize the subject. She reveals that the original group of 7 survivors were chosen and brainwashed with the purpose of protecting Kasumi. Just as she is about to shoot the lieutenant, he remembers that there was a chip implanted in all their necks before going into the capsules. He shoots the chip out and is freed from Alice's illusion. He gets to the control terminal and shuts down Alice. Elsewhere, Kasumi awakes to see that she is in a room surrounded by thorns with her sister at rest in the center. As she approaches, she is stopped by an alternative created by Shizuku. Just then, the chaos caused by the lieutenant causes the thorns to lose their power and Kasumi is able to finally reach her sister. To her surprise, however, she notices that the body on the table has a scar on its wrist. This scar is a scar that Kasumi ended up with after attempting to kill herself. She then realizes that this body was actually the real Kasumi. The alternative begs for Kasumi not to remember, but it is too late. Kasumi has a flashback to when her and her sister are about to make their promise to see each other again after the cold sleep. In this memory, it is revealed that Kasumi did not actually want to make this promise. Instead, she begged her sister to jump off the cliff with her so that neither of them would have to live without the other. Kasumi resorted to pulling Shizuku as she was unwilling to commit suicide. In their struggle, they both fell off the cliff. Shizuku had landed on a small ledge and had not been harmed, but her sister was not so lucky. Shizuku looked over the edge of the cliff to see that her sister Kasumi had fallen to her death. This realization sent Shizuku into a panic state, causing something to momentarily emerge from her body. We are then shown that after Shizuku became the test subject and went rampant, she created an alternative in the form of her dead sister. This alternative was the Kasumi that we had been following throughout the film. Shizuku, who is now a big face on the ceiling, says that she only wanted to give her sister another life where she didn't realize anything was different. Kasumi wants to stay with her sister as the building collapses, but Shizuku pushes her away to save her life. The lieutenant and Kasumi pair up again and escape the collapsing castle together. Outside, the two discuss whether or not they are still in their dreams, or perhaps the dreams of another. They agree that regardless, they must endure their hardships. The lieutenant then succumbs to all his wounds and dies. The boy from the group finds Kasumi, and the two venture off back to civilization. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment with what anime movie you'd like me to recap next.